Welcome to the Tomorrow's Own Catalyst podcast. I'm your host, Deborah Rubin, and this is part of a special series that we're doing called Spark to Shift, how smart leaders are navigating AI adoption. And in each episode, we're talking with visionary leaders about bold moves, real stories, and the shift from AI talk to traction. Each guest is at a different part of their AI journey, but all of them are doing more than just exploring AI. They're making awesome happen. So if you're ready to step away from day to day into an exploration of what's possible, you're in the right place. So let's get to it. I'm very excited today to introduce our guest, Chelsey Barron. She's the Senior Vice President at Leaf Commercial Capital. With over 14 years experience in equipment finance, she has built an impressive career spanning both ops and sales. And in her current role, she's leading Leaf's technology division sales, business development, and program management teams, driving innovation and growth across the organization. It sounds like you never have a dull moment there.
Never.
That's not all. So she's also serving as the committee chair of ELFA's Innovation Committee, where she is playing a key role in shaping the future of the industry. And that's why I invited her on the show, because I think she has a very unique perspective in that role. And I wanted to get her take on how the equipment finance industry is adopting AI. So, Chelsey, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Deb. I'm super excited to join you today.
Yeah, it was so exciting to see you on stage at the Innovation Lab in Denver. I mean, first of all, it was pretty exciting to see the trade association trying something new, but also to see you up there leading the charge and making awesome happen. And I imagine it's been a pretty exciting time for you.
It's been very exciting. You know, the ELFA, as you said, they invested quite a bit this year in our change from the traditional ops and tech conference onto this innovation conference. And you saw the buzz. I mean, Deb, you were there and everyone was just excited. You walked into the room and you almost felt like you were at a mini annual convention. More people, more service providers were there, some great keynote speakers. We ended on a great note, right, with Mr. Clark giving his go get 'em speech at the end. And so that was really refreshing and lots of great feedback post conference too. So it was nice to see a change.
That's awesome. So back in 2007 was the first time that I joined and did anything, as a volunteer with ELFA as a part of the operations and technology committee. So I do have appreciation for just how much goes into planning and, pulling off a conference like that. And I think you guys did a phenomenal job this year. So thank you for all that you've done. So I wanted to kind of dive in with you, Chelsey, because I think in your role at an industry level, you have a very unique perspective on what's going on with trends and adoption in innovation, especially around AI. It was like the hot topic. You couldn't, go anywhere without hearing about it. So what sparked your current curiosity and leadership around innovation at ELFA and AI specifically?
Yeah, so you said my background, right, comes from ops, right? Like I'm a type A operations gal at heart. And so now in this new role as leading our technology division within Leaf, I'm around technology, right? All of our customers, they're buying technology. We're seeing more and more technology manufacturers. So I'm getting to see firsthand what the world is doing in regards to technology, right? And where they're exploring what their customers are asking for. And now you see it spanning. Technology is not just, your laptop or your desktop or your server, right? It's really spanning over many, many verticals now. And the use of AI is not just making organizations more efficient, right? Saving money. It's really also making workplaces, schools, hospitals safer. Right? Like schools are bringing in these weapon detection systems that are all AI generated, right? That can detect if there's a weapon in a student's backpack, right? So that makes us as parents, it makes teachers and administrators at schools feel safer, right? And not just in elementary education, you're talking at the college and university level too, right? You also see camera systems using AI along manufacturing lines, right? That detect safety concerns, or are employees following, certain procedures to prevent accidents from happening. So you're really seeing a lot of technology and AI specifically just spread throughout the day-to-day world. And what are our customers needing, right? And how are we as lessors in this industry helping them solve their needs? And so, with this type of advancement and innovation, whether it's AI is included or not, this got me thinking, like, what are we doing to support this? Because it's here, right? We got to find a way. So that's kind of what inspired me and really intrigued me about the new conference this year, focusing solely on innovation.
That's really awesome. I love the focus on customer experience because often in the conversations that I'm having about AI specific to equipment finance, it's more of an internal focus and what our equipment finance lessors doing in terms of, efficiency gains and adopting AI. But I think this is a really unique perspective because, when we consider where the customer is going, it can inform where we need to go next with our technology efforts. So, a lot happened at the Innovation Lab. And I wonder, just from your perspective, where did you notice most companies starting in their AI or innovation journeys? And also, were there any patterns or lessons that stood out to you from what you heard at the conference?
Yeah, that's great. Mainly what I was hearing was credit and customer support, right? Those are two very easy approaches. Credit deals a lot with data, and you've got a lot of data coming in for you to decide, do I take this risk with this customer or do I not take this risk? And then customer support, right? In the consumer world, you're seeing online chatbots. You're calling in to get information about your account, and it's a lot of AI already incorporated in that process. So that's where I was seeing a lot of people go in. Cisco Capital, for instance, they were one of the top two contenders for the Innovation Award this year, and that's what their project was it was using AI to assist with credit underwriting, right, to enhance productivity and focus on quality of write-ups, right. So they took the data they had to use AI to make that happen. Now, what were lessons or patterns that I heard consistently? And we had a couple of sessions on this very topic, and Deb, you'll probably say yes, 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 is data, right? We all have data. We all have a lot of data that we're sitting on, but how clean is it? I mean, what you put in is what comes out. So in Cisco Capital's instance, right, if their data wasn't clean, if they didn't do a good enough job at really doing good data analysis with what they had, they probably wouldn't have been as successful, right, and got the results that they got from that project, which was incredible. So if it's not accurate data that you're putting in, your AI journey is not going to be very, very well off if you're starting from a credit approach or any approach at that matter, right? We also heard from a few industry service providers during one of their sessions was things to keep in mind when you're starting the AI journey was to have a goal in mind, right? Don't just say, hey, let's just use AI, right? Yeah, I think it's a good thing to tell your employees, like, go experiment, right? Go try things. But I think if you're really wanting to focus on incorporating AI in your innovation, you got to have a goal. You've got to create a process, an ongoing process of how you're going to manage whatever information you're putting in for your AI process or innovation. And then something I thought was very interesting was not every solution has to have AI.
Yes.
Not every solution has to have it, right?
Yeah, say more.
And I think that goes back to one of their main points was have a goal in mind, right? If you don't have a goal, you're not going to know where you need to use AI or where you don't need to use AI. So I'll probably say it again today. Data, data, data. Super important.
Yeah, well, I think you bring up a really good point. That's also one of the patterns that we've seen, and it can really hold you back from accomplishing great things with AI or whatever type of automation you're using for that case. I mean, it all starts with purpose. What are you trying to achieve as a business? It's not just about, sprinkle AI on top and magic happens.
That's right. That's right. And we all want that genie in a bottle effect, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Magic is out of scope. So I think that those are really important things. And it is something that we've been talking about for quite a while in the innovation community. Within a lot of companies really are trying to focus in on cleaning up their hot mess data, as we called it in the Innovation Council. So yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the data challenge is a challenge, and getting that solid and usable, and knowing, where your data is, what it means, and whether you trust it or not is a really great first step. But then also making sure that people understand what the goal is for why it's important to adopt AI and what are we trying to achieve, and then unifying around that. But I think you brought up another really important point is having the guardrails in place so that people understand what are the boundaries within which we use AI. And I think that's also another great area for companies that are just getting started to really nail that down so that, if you want to encourage people to experiment, that's great, but you have to have some guardrails for that playground. Otherwise, they might be too scared to experiment, or you might get, undesirable results from the
That's
experimentation.
right. It goes back to everything we say as a leader, right? Communicate,
Yes.
communicate, communicate. Let everybody know what you're focused on or what your vision is for your organization when it comes to innovation.
Yeah, and I think that, leadership is so key in innovation. And that brings me to my next question, actually. What shifts in mindset, leadership, or strategy do you think are needed for our industry to really gain traction with innovation, with AI, or other next generation technologies?
This is a very simple thing, but I think it's super important. I joined the LFA 6, 7 years ago, and Deb, you've been a part of the LFA for a very long time in this industry for a very long time. You can read the room, you see who's sitting in the room, and this very basic thing is willing to embrace change. We cannot remain status quo, right? And what is coming in regard to AI is something that no one has seen, right? Even the new people sitting in the room, right? You would probably say I'm one of the younger ones in this room of leaders, right? I haven't even seen this. One of the keynote speakers, you'll remember, Safi Bakal spoke. He was our opening keynote speaker, and he shared a stat, and I think everyone in the room's mouth dropped. He said it took 7 years for the internet to get 100 million users. It took ChatGPT 60 days to get to 100 million users. 60 days. So ready or not, it's here. Change is here. And the next step that we need to think about as leaders is how do we embrace that, right? And we can't expect everyone on our teams to change tomorrow, right? Or understand that change has to happen tomorrow. So I think that goes back to my last comment on communication is how do we open our doors to our teams to let them feel a part of the change that's coming? Right. To me, that's super important as a leader. And then we have to align, Deb, right? Like within our organizations, within the industry, we have to align. We have to all be on the same page. And another takeaway from the conference, I had John Deere Financial. They had a few sessions, a few of their employees speak at some sessions, and that one of them shared the 5-finger rule. So when they were making a decision as a team, they said, how many fingers are you in? And they literally put in however many they were in regard to the topic. And if someone wasn't in all 5, they went back. They went back and said, hey, let's reevaluate this. So that again is bringing in your team to embrace the change that's coming and making sure everyone is all going to move forward together.
I love that. So I wasn't in that session, but I'm really glad you shared that because one of the things that is important with alignment's not an event. It's an ongoing practice. And so I love the 5-finger rule because you're not just assuming that people are on board or understand, you're confirming it. And then if you're finding there's something you got to deal with, it makes it pretty obvious and opens the door to further conversation. That's really cool. I love that takeaway.
Yes. I love when they shared that. I was like, man, even like in your personal life, like as your little family unit, right? Like, hey, are we all in agreement that we're putting this past us, right? So let's do that 5-finger thing. And to your point, it does make you aware of trust, right? Like if I'm going to be willing to put in four fingers, I'm going to trust that the rest of the team, a part of this project or this advancement or innovation, is going to hear me out and know why I'm not five fingers in, right? That builds a team.
Yeah, that is so vital. I mean, and that just shows how important the human side of innovation really is. I mean, you could have the sexiest, most awesome technology, and if you don't have all five fingers, you're going to have a disconnect that might prevent you from actually getting the ROI from that tech investment.
Absolutely.
So, you have a really interesting perspective, being a leader at an industry level on the topic of innovation. So, what are you seeing that others need to hear, especially around roadblocks, resistance, or even unexpected momentum in the innovation space?
I think a key thing is we're always going to feel behind. How fast technology is moving, what Safi shared, right? The 7 years on the internet and the 60 days on Chat GPT, we're always going to feel behind with how fast technology is moving. So there's always going to be challenges, right? I mean, for me, I'm always going to have banking regulations in my current role, right? I'm a part of a bank. And so there's always banking regulations for me. You're always going to have that senior leader or that team member that says, we've always done it this way. It works. Why are we trying to change it, right? You're always going to have competition too that's advancing at what you might feel like is faster than you, right? So I think we have to be aware of those things and see positive in those things, right? There's room at the table for every one of us. And it's not a race to who gets it done the fastest. In my opinion, as a leader, it's a race to who can put out a good quality work with keeping the customer in mind. And we all have multiple customers, right? So I'm not just talking about the end user, but I'm talking about our partner relationships or service provider relationships. And then some momentum that I'm seeing that I heard a lot that people are doing that's working is experiment. I heard that word many, many times throughout the conference. Experiment, experiment, experiments. And bring your employees in on that experimenting process, right? Don't forget them. You just said, Deb, right? Like the human touch is just as important as it was years ago. We need humans in this AI innovation advancement. So, and you're going to need them afterwards, right? I mean, AI and technology is not going to replace the human in our world, in our industry. And so you got to bring them in on that experimenting.
I think you brought up a really good point, though. So, you were talking about how we're always going to be facing challenges, and I love this thought because often we're told, "Oh, we need to think outside of the box." But when we're in a regulated industry, we have some pretty clear constraints. And the beautiful thing is, you can innovate despite constraints. The constraints actually inform how you innovate, and so
Absolutely.
I think that there's still opportunity there, even in the midst of regulation. We're always going to be challenged with resistance. The magic is figuring out how to transform resistance into information that you can use to further innovate, and that's the human side of innovation. And then, recognizing that we're always going to feel behind. And I'm with you there. I started leveraging AI back in 2016 and have been following this space. It is growing so fast. I gave up on trying to stay ahead. You can't, or even keep up. Now it's just like staying aware of what's changing, how it's growing, and remaining, adaptable is really where it's at. And the other thing that I think is really important, and you brought this up, is it's not just about speed. And I think when we think about AI, sometimes we get caught up in that. It's all about speed and efficiency, but you brought up quality and customer experience, which is kind of full circle from where you started.
I tell you, my mind is still that operations mind. A personal experience just last week was I had to call somebody, I think it was a bill I needed to pay. And I kept getting this AI bot just kept coming back. And I was like, I just want to talk to a person. So like there is a balance at the end of the day between AI and the human touch still. And we cannot lose sight of that. And we can't let our employees lose sight of it, because I think there is a lot of fear, in some degree for our employees around, is AI going to take over for me? And at the end of the day, we still need them.
Well, yeah, and I think the real skill of today is being able to understand and decompose processes and jobs into their atomic elements and understand where I fits in, but also where the human adds value that AI can't possibly bring.
Yes.
And then how do we collaborate in a way that we're getting the best of both worlds to create an even better outcome?
Yeah. Great.
I want to kind of turn attention to where things might be going. We spent some time at the Innovation Lab looking at signals of change and trends and thinking about where things could be going. A lot of different presentations on that. But as you look ahead, how are you thinking about what's next for the ELFA Innovation Committee, for AI, and the future of our industry?
One word: excited, right? I'm excited that this is happening, right? I'm excited that we aren't in that status quo of, well, this has worked. It's always worked. Let's remain here. I think other industries around us have showed that you can do it. And if you invest in it, it will happen. So if you attended the conference, you will know, and Deb, you and I were obviously both there, like, it was different. It was really different from our original operations and technology conference that we've had for several years, right?
What were the
Lots of
major differences that you noticed?
It just felt warming and inviting, right? I felt like, and not only one thing that we focused on as a committee this year in our planning session back in April. And for those of you who don't know what this committee consists of, several members who volunteer their time while they're trying to do their daily, also while they're trying to live their personal life. And it spans for a good 5-6 months, right? That we're listening to what you all are saying in the industry on what you need to excel and what you want to hear and how you want to hear it. And so we really, back in April, when we sat down for that planning session, when we learned, hey, this is going to be different than what it's been in the past, is how do we provide quality over quantity? So if you were used to the Ops and Tech conference, you probably felt like, hey, there's less sessions, but these are deeper sessions, right? We really focused on the material that we were presenting, the presenters that were there, right? Not just our keynote speakers, because they were great, right? But also, who is coming up to the board? Are these new faces, right? Are these new people to bring new ideas? And you saw we had a whole session on emerging tech leaders, right? So these were entrepreneurs that are knee deep in their new companies, right? That shared with us like the do's and the don'ts and what worked and what didn't work, right? Very vulnerable discussions on what you need to do to take it to the next level. So in my opinion, that really brought out the energy for people, because if you've been attending Ops and Tech, you really realize like, hey, the LFA is in this, right? They want this industry to advance. And, Deb, you had that amazing trend scanning session, right? Like it was
You.
for what, 2 hours? And I felt like it was 30 minutes, because it was just, you and Hanneke did just a very, very nice job at that. And then we had that live innovation award pitch. It was so fun. And both of the companies that were in the running for that award both just gave a lot there. Again, very vulnerable experiences, right? And just shared what they have poured into their projects. And so it just felt a lot different in that sense. And with this industry has never lacked collaboration, right? That is one very unique thing. And you hear that from conference to conference, from organization to organization. Everyone, yes, we are competitors, but we collaborate very, very well. And I felt like you saw that shine this year. I was hearing outside of sessions, people talking about, well, how are you doing this? Or how are you doing that? We had more service providers than we've ever had at the Ops and Tech conferences, and they were sharing new ways to innovate and how their products will help us as an industry move forward with AI and innovation. So I'm very excited for what's to come for this conference. And I hope we draw more people in to really see what the ELFA is pouring into innovating our industry.
Well, I just want to thank you. I think that, with your leadership and your committee, you guys put on a really fantastic event, and it was a joy to be a part of it. And it was really exciting to see all of the energy and the excitement for the future. A lot of really fun geek out conversations in the hallways, and I think you're right. It is collaborative and people are very open to share. I had so many, hey, what are you doing about this? How are you approaching this? And it's so great to just have a place where you can come together with industry colleagues and explore topics like that. We're already to the top of our time. I can't believe how fast this went, but I have a little bit of a lightning round prepared for you.
All right,
Oh,
let's do it.
yeah. So let's just crank through it real quick. So fill in the blank. AI is only as powerful as blank.
Oh, man. I'm going to say the energy you give to use it.
Awesome. One word to describe how you're feeling about AI in equipment finance today.
Eager.
Ooh, that's a good one. Given your role as the chair of the Innovation Council, what do you wish someone would have told you before you stepped into this leadership role?
Well, this is a positive. I have met lifelong friends. I mean, it's amazing the friendships I have formed through this committee and even this leadership role. And everyone shares the same passion that I do in taking this industry to the next level. And that's encouraging. And that's what makes a volunteer role like this more and more exciting, is because we're all looking forward to moving us to the next level.
I love that. And I echo that. I've been volunteering myself for, it can be measured in decades now. And I think that's what keeps me coming back is the people, the relationships, and the excitement that we share for shaping the future. So Chelsey, I just want to thank you for all that you do. And
Yes.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining me on the show today.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure, Deb. Thank you.
And to our listeners, I hope that you took away some awesome wisdom nuggets from that. I know I did. And I encourage you to like and subscribe, share this with a friend. And thank you for tuning in. Until next time, stay curious and choose to make awesome happen.